Welcome back. 10 ways to put Christ in Christmas on your Christmas day. Now, one of the things that I have seen people do that is just so cool, they have taken, they couldn't find any, so people have made their own. Taken a Christmas tree, and instead of all the other ornaments, which some of them they leave on there, they started finding ways to make Christmas words like Mighty God, Son of God, Savior of the world, things like that. And they cut them out and they put gold glitter all around them, and then they hung them on the tree. So you have your ornaments, but you also have, again, all the words of God, all the words about Jesus. And so when they see the tree, though you have all the other things that remind you of memories and things that have happened as the kids have grown or in your life or places you visited, things like that, you have the words of Christ right there, all the different things. And you can tell the kids about it. Now, I do have a friend that she makes a Christ tree. Her Christmas tree tells the story of Christ. And she has made all these different things that tell about Christ's life. And has ornaments she made. She has a loaf of bread. She has all these things. So it's really a cool thing that you can do to make it just more special, the tree, more about the Christmas story. And just when people walk into your house, do they see Christ or do they just see commercial Christmas, right? Like, do they see love? Do they see, what do they feel in your house? What do they get from that? And that's where I'm really challenging you to think a little different for this Christmas. It's a really hard time out there. It's a really heavy time, hard on everyone. It's been a rough year. And so adding some more life in that, adding some more deeper spiritual message in that, definitely the stories. So I have a magazine called Family Circle Collector's Edition Christmas Treasury. And in this magazine, it has all these Christmas stories. There's a Garrison Keillor story, A Lake Woebegone Christmas, Such Were the Joys. And if you have not seen that podcast that he does, and it's audio, and it's wonderful, but definitely at Christmas, there's Christmas newsletters from Irma Bombeck in here, Christmas angels, and then all the things about frankincense and the stories back then of why frankincense is a part of Christmas. The wise men brought it, but all the things that people have shared about it for Christmas. So I just encourage you to find stories like that. Now, my husband loves those kinds of things, so he finds all that kind of stuff. As a professor, he used to always share them with his class. So anything that you can do to bring Christ. Now, one of the things a family can do is when you do the ornaments and if you do the names of Christ, then you can let everyone go around and tell you what they think Christ is for them. That's one of the things. So you can have these activities, and I actually have a PDF I can send you if you want me to. I can send it to you. It's cutouts that you can use on Christmas Day. So you can get a hold of me on gettingbetterwithannbeal@gmail.com or 1-800-214-0065. And I will send you this stuff for Christmas Day. So if you ask all these questions, so it's questions and you cut them out and you put them in a jar and then you draw them out and you ask questions. So there's questions for kids, there's questions for adults, and it just makes it really fun. So one of the things is, if you had a choice, would you spend Christmas in a snowy winter resort, or would you spend Christmas in a summer warm, beautiful resort? And so you can ask that question. And it's funny because my husband and I answered it differently. And so things like that. When you think of Christmas spirit, what is Christmas spirit to you? That is a good one. But also another one that you can draw out is, what do you think Mary and Joseph were feeling as they were traveling to Bethlehem. And if you haven't seen the Chosen's Christmas special, it's at the movies. I think it may be ending. It may have ended Friday at the movies. I think it went international, but you can see it on YouTube if you have the Chosen app. You can watch it there. But it is definitely, that Christmas special is all about Joseph and Mary on their travels to Bethlehem. And it is so real, the things they might have talked about, how she would have felt, and the fact that the angels had appeared to both of them. A lot of people forget that the angel also appeared to Joseph. That kept him going in the midst of all that. So stay right here. There's more to make your Christmas more special. Thank you for joining me. I am on every Saturday at 12 and Sunday at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning as well. And I would love to have you join me every weekend. Think about this. In our blind, hurried rush through the Christmas holidays each year, many of us are much like small children who tear through those pile of wrapped gifts on Christmas morning. Once the frenzy's over, they sit on the floor surrounded by paper boxes and toys and cry because it's all over. And Christmas is a time of joy and frustration, a frenzy of preparations and merrymaking, followed by weariness and even emptiness. So the adults, when the emptiness hits, often think, is that all we get? Just like the kids might think, is it all over? Is that all we get? Is this your year to make a change? To create a meaningful Christmas for you and your family? You may need to eliminate a couple of things, like some time-stealing activities, and I don't know what yours are, and instead replace them with something more meaningful. So again, here's some more ideas. And we talked about the names of Christ, coming up with them and putting them on the tree. But you can just talk about them, like King of Kings. Like, what does that mean? And you can ask, what does it mean to you? And we're going to do this at our party. I'm going to go around the room and ask everybody, what's it mean to you? What does the word Redeemer mean? I mean, if you come up with the names of Christ, you can ask each other, what are they? Then we talked about conversation starters that you can use that are really fun. And you can ask these questions like, what is your favorite Christmas song and why? And why do we celebrate Christmas? What part of the Christmas story do you like the most? What gift would you have taken to Jesus if you had been there? What do you like most about Christmas? What is your favorite ornament on the tree and why? And I thought about that. That would be really fun, even just to look at my tree and pick out my favorite ornament. What do you think your Christmas tree would say if it could talk? And what are you looking forward to most about Christmas? If you could have visited the Christ child just as the three wise men did, what would you have said and done? So you can use these questions to talk to your family and friends about Christmas and what it means. You can work these into normal conversations. Often they are best as part of a Christmas party or formal celebration, but just talking about them with people when you see a friend. You're hanging out. You can just ask them. It's such a wonderful thing to talk about. I did it the other day. You can ask a couple questions to the group and ask everyone to answer, or both of them, So if you're with kids, there are questions for kids I have in this handout that you can get. But choose a question from these lists that are appropriate for your group. You can cut them out, put them in jars and have people draw if you want to do that way. I think one of the best ones I like is describe a favorite Christmas from your past. Those are really enjoyable things to hear and let people share. You get to know them so much better. What was Christmas like as you were growing up? What was your favorite Christmas tradition as a child? What's your favorite tradition now? And one of the things I love to do with our family is we would always go out and pick out a Christmas tree and have it dug up. And we would bring it home and plant it. But when we were there was always a bonfire and hot chocolate. When we were planting it, we always had a little bonfire and hot chocolate. So it's just a Christmas tradition. But when I was young, my aunt on her farm, she had like 80 acres. We'd go pick out a tree. And she wouldn't dig it up. She'd cut it down. We'd bring it home. So it's just a wonderful thing. We always did it on Thanksgiving Day. So for us, that was our tradition. Of all the figures around the nativity scene, who do you most identify with? Now that's an interesting one. Who do you most identify with? Somebody said, Aunt Zamaji, she's always going. She would travel to see people, always going to see people. She would be definitely on a camel. I thought that was funny. What does Christmas mean to you? And this one, what is the best gift you've ever given someone? So there's lots of questions on this for adults. And if you happen to put them in a jar, you can call it the jar of conversation. And so you can make those. So those are the ideas about conversation starters, which is pretty cool. A stocking for Jesus. So I had some friends do this. They had a stocking for Jesus. They had all their stockings, and they had another one that had Jesus on it. I'm like, wow, I had never seen that before. How cool is that? What did they do with that? And they said that they put gifts in there for Jesus. Well, what kind of gifts? Well, it's up to the person. They decide what they want to put in there for Jesus. So they can write him a letter, they can draw him a picture. But they could also actually share things that are on their heart about, if you think of if you were to give your dad a present, you were going to write him a letter, or you're going to draw him something, or, tell him something or get him something that shows how special he is. How would you do that for Jesus? And I thought that was really cool. They said they put objects, drawings, or notes that signified something they wanted to give to God in the coming year, or what it meant to them in this year to have Jesus there or God. They would think of a spiritual resolution they wanted to make. And I get that one. I hadn't heard that. A spiritual resolution, an area of growth, a commitment to using their spiritual gifts, a tangible way of loving people, or things like that, and to think of a way to symbolize that resolution. One person told me they drew a watch and wrote underneath the picture that they wanted their time to change from thinking about all the daily stress and all the politics and all that, to change from that to thinking about being the lordship of God. How do you serve him? Wanted to make him a priority in our lives, is what he said. How I wanted to do that. So I put a picture of a watch. I had a friend that put a map of the world in the stocking, and they prayed as a family that they would be willing to go wherever God would send them, or to pray for whatever they needed to pray for people in the world, because they said they tended to be so self-focused about just in their life instead of other people. Okay, so you could go around and share stories about how God has worked in your life. Have you ever told your children the story of your salvation? So how about your spouse? While the family's together during the holidays, that is such a great time to share your personal stories of faith or redemption or life change. Also reflect on the previous year and talk about how you've grown in your faith individually as a family, especially the last 2 years. I mean, my life has changed tremendously. My faith has grown in a way that I will never be able to explain. But how would I put that into words? Because I thought about that, though. My kids probably know that with all of us. Have any of us actually voiced that to each other? So that is one of the things we're going to talk about on Christmas Day this time, how God has worked in our life. Actually, we talked about doing it on Christmas Eve this time. Anyway, so that's an idea. Now, some people know Advent wreaths. I had never seen them growing up, but I had friends as an adult, and my husband, he loves doing that. So if you haven't done it, it's one of people's favorite Christmas activities. So when the children are old enough to light the candles, they can take turns doing that. So you can look it up, an Advent wreath, and it has 5 candles. Well, I actually know someone that does it for the whole 31 days of Christmas, but they take 25. So they have the 20 days, so 20 candles, and then 5 other candles that are white, and they're special candles for the 5 special things about the Advent. So there are a variety of Advent devotional books available nowadays you can find. So you can pass on that tradition for an Advent wreath, and then you light a candle every day. Some people light a candle once a week for 4 weeks. So you can do that too. Then, before we had children, I noticed how so many parents tried to top their, not top their gift giving from the previous year for their children, but to, you just try to think of such cool things as they're growing up. They tend to get bigger and better. So once we had children, we decided that we would get the same number of gifts that Jesus gave. Now, we had heard about it from somebody else, and I just thought it was the coolest thing. So one Christmas Eve, we read about the birth of Jesus and talked about the 3 gifts he was given, and it kind of went from there. So the following morning, the 3 gifts for each child were under the tree, and we again talked about the real meaning of Christmas. So that is a cool idea that we're always picking up things from our friends. When the children were young, they really enjoyed knowing they got 3 gifts just like Jesus, and it became a great ongoing tradition. So doing this helped us avoid the trap of making it each Christmas only about getting the coolest toy or whatever. We still love getting them things, even though they're grown now. But it's helped bring us back to Jesus' birthday and the Bible on Christmas Day, mainly just to not lose focus on the fact that it is his birthday, and that's what it's all about. And though commercialism came into it, it is really about that. So consider this. The feelings of Mary and Joseph. If you think about that, because it's a really cool thing to do. We were going to do that this time too at the Christmas party, have different people share. So if you think about these questions, and I'll be glad to send any of this to you guys if you want it. How do you think Mary, a virgin, felt when she discovered she was pregnant and she was very young? And being pregnant, she could get stoned. She could get outcast. So if you think about that, how do you think Mary, a virgin, felt? And how do you think Joseph felt? He was betrothed to Mary and he found out she was pregnant. So that's something to ponder. Why did both Joseph and Mary have the courage to believe God and undoubtedly suffer ridicule from man? Now, they did both have angels appear to them. Now, if we had angels appear to us and tell us something was happening, hopefully we would believe it, right? I mean, I think we believe we would, but it would be so hard to step out in our society right now and go forward with things that would ridicule us or have people stone us. And that is actually happening today. People getting stoned, even in our country. So would we be brave enough to step out in courage and suffer the ridicule from man? That's another question. Who did they and you turn to? Who do you think they turned to when life was not what they anticipated it to be? And who would you turn to now when life is not when you anticipate it to be? Now, I have a lot of people tell me that life is not what they anticipated it to be today. And how they handle that all depends on what their faith is in. Do you put your faith in Anthony Fauci? Do you put your faith in Biden, President Biden? Do you put your faith in God? Do you put your faith in the vaccine? Yeah, where's your faith? And and you can tell how the person's doing, and their stress level coincides with what they put their faith in. It's very fascinating. So, asking that question with even your friends, who do they, put their faith in when life is not what they anticipated it to be? Who do they turn to? Now, why can we always trust God, even when his ways are different from ours? This is a question that it would be very prevalent today. And I think these are much more real because it does seem like today things are very different from anything that we anticipated. So it would be a good question to ask and just see what people say. It'll be a big conversation starter, I know, in our Christmas party because I can just hear it. It might take all night. Okay, so there are some other Christmas stories from Scripture that people don't ever really think about, There's the prophecy of Jesus' birth in Isaiah, which is really cool. You can talk to your children how Jesus' birth was prophesied, and then that Christ fulfilled that. It's really, really neat. You can also talk about the shepherds in the field when the angels appeared to them. Why were they in that field? And what was that field of sheep? That was actually the temple sheep. So why and what they were there for? The shepherd story is an incredible story. How about Mary's visit to Elizabeth, her cousin? And Elizabeth knew she was pregnant and told her she knew that God had told her that she was pregnant. And so both were carrying babies whose conception were a surprise. And note Mary's strong faith and her response after Elizabeth recognizes that Mary's carrying her child. My phone keeps going off. People are giving me different ideas of things that they like to do at Christmas. So I would love to hear yours too. How about announce the birth of a king? So after reading the story of Christ's birth in Luke 2, 1 through 20, family members can share how they would announce the birth of a king. The angels appeared and announced the birth. So where and how would you do that? Where would they arrange for the infant king to stay? What could so you could make paper horns for the children to use for their announcements, to announce it like an angel. And then You could also talk to them about the manger. People say a baby born in a manger, which just cracks me up because the baby wasn't born in a feeding trough. The baby was born in a shed, where the animals were. And the manger is the actual feeding trough. And so I've had people have pictures of the feeding trough, and the kids just laugh. Like, they have the feeding trough usually feeding the horses first, or the sheep, or the goats, or whatever. And then they let the kids see it. It's so cool because they just laughed. They didn't know. They thought the baby was born in a manger, but she wasn't. So, you can talk about the baby Jesus entering the world and all the animals and the livestock. Go see animals. That's a cool thing. Go to a little animal farm and see goats and livestock and hay and a manger. It may be wooden, but it doesn't matter. Let them see that, and that's super fun and super cool. And they will know that Jesus is the center. So stay right here. I was expecting music.
Yeah.
So I was watching the clock, but I went ahead because I saw it count down.
I was looking up for it.
Yes?
Huge favor for tonight if you could do this.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be off, obviously, for the next 2 weeks. Just tonight, all I need are 2 dates from you. Because I'm leaving Wednesday, or Thursday.
Well, do you just want to pick one? I can pick it before I leave.
I could cherry pick it if you want.
And I'll check it. I'll do it before I leave.
Because I'll need 2. But I got enough in here I can use already.
Yeah.
I think I got like 4 or 5 I can pick from.
Do you know what they are? I'd hate for you to have to listen to them or whatever.
I'm not going to have time to do that.
Yeah. Well, I'll look at them with you. Well, I don't know if you'll have time.
I'm not going to have time.
So I will look at them before I go, or you can pick it. It doesn't matter to me. I just,
honestly, Christmas Day and talk radio, it's a throwaway day.
Saturday. Yeah, well.
So is New Year's Day.
Because it's at 12, right?
Yeah, honestly, as long as we don't have dead air, you're going to be fine.
Yeah, well, and there's some fun things. I think probably.
How about from like Christmas time around last year, maybe?
Yeah, what did I do? Let me just look.
Although we were coming. Although
I should know that, right?
Did you do anything in 18?
Yeah, on Christmas.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll pull that one. Yeah.
Yeah, because we weren't approaching COVID yet.
No.
By the way, just announced the Netherlands is going on lockdown, effective tomorrow.
Where?
The Netherlands.
Welcome back. I hope you have enjoyed hearing some things you can do on Christmas Day. So you can talk more about Christ and Christmas and just make the day much deeper, much more long-term, endearing Christmas spirit for the whole day, even Christmas Eve. Now, I don't know how many of you have actually seen The Chosen series. You can see it on the Chosen app, or you can watch it on YouTube. You can see it different places. So it is such a wonderful TV series, and it actually tells about the daily life of Christ. And even it actually starts before Christ's ministry, and you learn about the disciples before they meet Christ. It is so enjoyable, and it's so real, and it's so down to earth. And the actors are so good. And it has spread like wildfire. It's just been amazing. But mostly what I want you to know is that if you watch The Chosen, every single episode makes you feel so good after. It has such a wonderful feeling. And so they've had 2 series done now. They had the first season, which are 8 episodes. And then they have the second season, 8 episodes. So you could start on the first season and see some of these. Now, it actually starts with a pilot, which is the first one they did to raise the money for the TV show. And they ended up raising millions of dollars so that they could hire really good actors. And it was a crowdfunding by people that raised the money because they didn't want to have to go through Hollywood because they always change things and make them not very good. So they lose the meaning of the whole purpose of making the movie when they do that. So they did it there in their own by raising money just through people who watched it. And they actually do that on the Chosen app, which you can download. You can actually see it. You can stream it to your television. But if you don't know how to do that, you can buy the DVD or you can go to YouTube and watch it. I don't know where else you can see it. vidangel.com is another website. And so really help you bring Christ back in Christmas. But also, it just teaches them the truth about Christ's life, you can't take 3 years and put it in an hour movie. You just can't. It's crazy. I don't know why they've done that. And so instead, it's just the details, and it's actually, a movie. It's not like a documentary or anything like that, TV series. So there's one of the things that I wanted to talk to you about. One of the ideas is essential oils. So you can do this on Christmas Day. It is really fun. There are lots of essential oils mentioned in the Bible, and of course, the wise men brought the baby Jesus frankincense and myrrh. So what we have done is we've ordered these frankincense chips, the wood chips, the sap chips, I guess they're sap, and the myrrh chips, so that you can throw them in the fire and they smell, or you can pass them around and let people smell them. The wood fire is fun. Even Amazon has them. They don't smell as good, the ones on Amazon, but if you can order them in different places. So it's really a fun thing to do. You can also get the essential oils, frankincense and myrrh. You can just anything. You can get the powder, different things that you can do with it. But there's a strong appeal in connecting with our ancient past through these essential oils because they use them in the Bible. And they have healing properties, so that's really comforting. So it's not going to hurt your children or your family. So just know there are all these oils. So let's just talk about some of them because you could get them for Christmas Day. Frankincense is definitely one of them. Now, where do you get them? You can get them at almost any. I know that Hobby Lobby has some healthy. What is it? Oh gosh. At Sunshine Herbs, which is a great health food store. Any of the health food stores, Sprouts, you can go to any of those and find them. And the truth is, the Magi gave the Christ child gold, frankincense, and myrrh resins. And so people don't really know what resins are. And that's what I ordered were the resins. They were like the sap. And so essential healing oils, as we know them, didn't exist back then. So they didn't have the oils, but they had the resin. So you simply put the essential healing oils of the Bible that we all love and use today require a kind of a distillation process from those resins to make that oil. So it's just really cool. One of the things that you can do there. And I just encourage you to do these things and just have a wonderful, wonderful Christmas. Enjoy it with your children and your family. Take people you know in need, some wonderful food or gifts. Make their day as wonderful as this pioneer family. Bless them in a way that they can see Christ in Christmas. They can know God loves them. God works through many people, and I pray this Christmas that God works through you. I hope to see you here next week, every Saturday and Sunday, Saturday at 12, Sunday at 8 a.m., where we will talk more about how to get better, keep getting better, even in Christmas. Improve your Christmas. Make it wonderful and keep growing. I love you guys. God bless you, and just have a wonderful, wonderful holiday. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
Yeah, my friend, she actually was sick, but she didn't think she had COVID or anything. But then she started feeling better, and so finally went out because she didn't feel enough to go out and get tested.
Right.
So then she finally felt better and felt okay, went out and got tested. She had COVID. She's like, that's weird. I feel a lot better. She goes, they tell me I should still just rest, not completely gone yet. And so
she did have it, but
she did have it, but when she felt like crap, she stayed home. She thought it was more like flu.
right.
But it wasn't that bad. But she didn't know.